for the 485B, et cetera, that we can recommend that you maybe want to pursue based on interest from existing business owners, et cetera. That can be done with the remaining money. There may be, if you don't do the micro, then additional money to do something else, right? You have to figure out what that is.
Because it has to beat that organizational structure.
You have to fit it, yes, you have to be a bit creative in potentially in what meets that umbrella description, but we can certainly come up with something.
Okay.
And, you know, and I think it's, if you identify a need, then we can work on trying to fit the money so that it'll do that. You sure don't wanna, if there's nothing to do, then, you know, let the state, the EPA fund could use the money, so let's take it.
There's any sense.
Okay.
We need to act on this tonight.
What is that, George?
That's our proposals.
If you want to.
For town meeting, the
Oh,
property
Oh,
maintenance.
well,
It's up to you.
Why don't we do it?
I'll make a motion that we accept it. Put that in form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Roberts. Any more discussion?
And then we'll put it all in one, Brian, with?
Yes.
Okay,
Put
that
it all
sounds
in
good.
one package, and we'll do it in one shot.
Okay.
so is Carol, oh, sorry, Jeff.
I'd like to mention to the board, to keep in mind, along with this tourism thing that they were talking about earlier, I've been to 3 meetings, 3 separate groups, and one of the groups that I met with was in Ticonderoga, where we talked about doing that tour, the guide for this, for Clinton County, and which will include Rouses Point. I'm also meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, Christy Kennedy. We have a group, and actually there was only 2 of us that showed up, but talking about doing land and lake tours of our area of Rouses Point in the town of Champlain. And then the third group is the scenic byway. It's going to start in Rouses Point, and it's going to go along Route 11 all the way to Messina, Augsburg, Potsdam, somewhere out that area. And originally, right now, it's being called the Military Scenic Byway, but they're going to try to get that changed to a northern border or a North Country byway, that it's so they can, so it's not just military. So I guess what I'm asking the board to do is keep in mind when Melissa, when they're talking about some of these other little projects, that there's those other 3 things too that are in the works and would all come together.
And, you know, that is something, again, the local champion, the local contact person. I approached the mayor a couple of years ago about getting someone to work at the village who could be the contact for businesses, who could be the rep. You could do event development. You can, that is a very legitimate activity to use. If you get that $150,000 in streetlight and ornamental lighting match, that's a lot of money. It's not all gonna go into that site work. You could pay someone to do those things. I mean, really, there are a lot of options out there for you. And, you know, that's a model I'm really trying to work toward in my communities. My expertise is in one area, but you really can use someone on the ground here who can meet with businesses and, you know, work on event development. And that could all be structured into a work program, so.
Any other discussion, board? All those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. There, that's how we wait.
I'll take care of that.
Second question, Melissa, what's the idea of cost of that plaque? Because you asked me a question a couple of weeks ago. Aha!
Which question, about the plaque and
Yeah.
well, I know we paid on the waterfront, right? Is it comparable? It would be comparable?
I don't know, the reason why, because you asked me if to talk to an organization.
Yes.
Well, I have, but they'd like to know what the cost is gonna be.
Well, I think we could come up with that for them based upon what we spent at the pier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add that to my list of things to do.
There, that's my 2 questions for you. That I
Okay.
had. All right, we're going to the regular meeting. Comments from the public at this time? Anybody that wish to address the board may do so. There There being nobody at this time, we'll have a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of the previous meeting. All,
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
paying
you.
the money.
Thank you.
you all have copies of minutes. Is there any additional deletions?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of September 6, 2011.
Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Baker. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
What about the bills?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to push it. You all have copies of the bills. There's any addition or ten?
We have one addition this evening, it's NICEC, it's our monthly bill for $33,001.80.
That's low.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as amended.
I have a question on the bills, please. Arsen, on that mid-state industrial supply for the DOT crosswalk panels, $262.80, that was charged to the police fund. And I'm just wondering, shouldn't that be charged to the sign account? I believe you guys had a discussion on that.
What page is that, Dennis?
It's on page 2. It's about a third of the way down.
Mid-state, yeah, 262.
We looked at previous POs and they were all taken out of the sign fund.
I can change that. This is the board's wish.
Well, I think that was the discussion we had at the last meeting, right, was the Brian
Well,
brought up
it
his
was
report.
stated that all the monies were coming out of the street account, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's a specific account for signs, correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Got that squared away?
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Are we gonna change it? Yes?
If that's what the board wants me to, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong account.
Shit.
Police department, right? It should come
From the signs department.
from not the police department.
Any other discussion?
That's it for me, thank you.
All those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
This is from Lisa Nagel, works at Elan, and she said, Melissa may have told you, this is addressed to George, Melissa may have told you, but we submitted the downtown and waterfront revitalization plan to the upstate chapter of the American Planning Association, which covers all of New York State out of New York City, and it won. There is a luncheon on Thursday, September 29th at noon at the Radisson Hotel in Utica, New York. She wants to extend an invitation to you to come and receive the award. They will provide the lunch for free. If you want to attend, just let me know and I'll give your name to the conference organizers.
We're gonna be one then.
Oh, I told you there's gonna be some changes.
Oh, okay, all right.
The changes are, Mr. Jefferson, or Trustee Jefferson, you and I are going to the IEP. I'm dropping you off and driving to Utica, which is 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine.
And then I'm leaving there right after I get that award, coming back to IEP. Otherwise, you're gonna have to walk.
Okay, all right, that's fine, yeah,
Yeah.
good, that's a good idea.
that's very nice honor.
Yeah.
That's great. It's very nice.
Top place in the state of New York, you know,
Yeah,
that's good as that one.
very good.
All right, anything else, Jerry?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Reports to the mayor and trustees. That's a resolution for budget modification, and I turn it over to the treasurer.
Whereas the Board of Trustees deems it advisable to make certain modifications to the 2011-2012 village budget, be it therefore resolved that the treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to make the following modifications to the village budget. Under the general fund, we're going to increase account 599, appropriated fund balance 14,722. Increase account 960, appropriations 14,722. Under the community development fund, we're going to increase account 510, estimated revenues 14,722, and decrease account 599, appropriated fund balance 14,722. And what this is reallocating funds from the 2009-2010 budget with the recommendation of the auditor.
Put that in form of a motion.
Second?
Moved by myself and seconded by trustee Jefferson. It's roll call vote. Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
Trustee Baker. Aye. Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
I,
And the mayor votes aye. Report on the MBUA meeting. As you know, last week I was at that meeting. There's some major changes coming down the road, people, and I'm not gonna like them. First of all, there's a public hearing, and I gotta find a time I'll make a call, and believe it's this week, at Messina on the rate changes that they're gonna charge us. If it's not a conflict, I plan to attend.
I think it's,
Anybody else wanna go? Certainly. Second of all, reliability. Now, you heard a little bit about this, but there's 7 systems in the communities that had to do this report, the reliability report, because they're over a certain amount of kilowatts. Lake Placid was one, Messina was another, Fairport was one, Spencerport was one. Right. To try to explain what it is, you realize what happened in Malone 2 weeks ago? Transformer, right? Well, they all pinned that down to poor maintenance, and that's what the reliability report is on. That transformer kicked out the 115,000 volt line, which fed Tupper Lake, Lake Placid, and a couple other communities. And they were off for quite some time, so I don't know. But anyway, the state's got this reliability thing of keeping the power on. And I'm afraid the way they were talking there, that every one of us is gonna be subject to this.
Is there what? Be subject.
Subject to
Oh,
it.
okay.
Talked to Peter Koff from Lake Placid, it's quite involved. They spent a couple of months doing this.
is this something to be like once a year, George?
Yep, once a year.
Wow.
Maybe a rate change. Not a rate change, you gotta inspect all your substations
Preventative
and
maintenance.
test it. All, you know, I think it's gonna be a real bear, what I gathered from these people. Lake Placid and Fairport, they did fine. They, you know, they had the meeting, they said, it just took a lot of time and had to be real thorough. So. Other than that, there was a couple of changes in the bylaws, so that the full executive board is responsible for the finances. There was one person left out inadvertently, can't remember which one, but. And we had to find time to let everybody know at the raceway Wednesday night, because they had cocktails and dinner at the raceway. And somebody said to Carol, what was the mayor doing at the raceway? Okay. I'm requesting the executive session, but I don't know if he's gonna show. For Placid Phone.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, roll call vote, trustee Jefferson,
Aye.
trustee Baker, trustee Roberts,
Aye.
trustee Penfield,
I,
and the mayor votes aye. And I believe that's all I have. Trustee Jefferson.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Rivers. Just a couple items on my agenda tonight. The semi-annual meeting of the municipal electric will be held on October 19th, 2011 in Syracuse. I know the mayor's planning on going. Is anybody else on the board interested in going? You can think about it, you don't have to decide tonight, but we have to make reservation prior October 14th, so we got a little bit of time. I might go, but right now my schedule is kind of in limbo, so just keep that in mind. The second item tonight, I'll put this in form of resolution. I'd like to designate Mayor Rivers is designated as the accredited delegate of the Village of Rouses Point for the municipal electric meeting. And I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Roberts. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No, John, you can't go.
Won't even look at me, so that
Saw you in the corner of my eye.
And the last thing I have then is I did all the paperwork for the grant to redo the court, upgrades on the court. It came to $8,100. We got an extension, but I submitted the paperwork the day before it was due, so we'll let the cards fall where they fall and see if we get some money. That's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Jefferson. Trustee Baker.
I have nothing for that.
Thank you, trustee Baker. Trustee Roberts.
I know that last meeting you talked about the stage, and I wasn't here to actually extend my thanks to the Friends of the Stage over the summer entertainment you guys had out there all summer long. It's a service you guys provide to the community free of charge, but I know there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about, such as fundraising and grant writing and whatnot. So I extend my thanks to all members of the Friends of the Stage. So good job, and look forward to next year's programs. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Roberts. Trustee Penfield.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, trustee Penfield. Jerry, you gonna get chickens to take Carol's place. You got anything for us?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Arsen?
The only thing I have is the board needs to give the clerk permission to go out to bid for shot rock. We have to buy 2,200 tons of shot rock to place along the shoreline of Montgomery Street for the flooding that was done this spring. This is supposed to be FEMA reimbursement, and Carol called around, and she got 3 quotes, but the lowest quote was almost $29,000. You can buy the stone on contract through the county, but even that is a lot more money than our lowest quote, so we need to go out to bid. We need to go out to bid for this.
I'll second it.
Motion made by trustee Baker, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Discussion.
We're gonna get this money back, though? That's
FEMA money.
No.
Okay.
The problem being here is that, you gotta understand, it's a wonder Carol left in the same mind. 'Cause this thing has got to be a real bear. That work has to be completed by the 22nd of October, or we don't get the money. Right? The thing over what RSM was saying, we tried to get it by the auditors to just take the lowest bid. Because our lowest bid was $4 a ton lower than the county contract. But we can't, you gotta go to bid. They said, now here's what it does, what I tried to explain to them. Go to bid by tomorrow, we gotta get it to the press tomorrow. If they advertise it for the next, it take at least 3 days before they get in the paper. And then we've gotta have a meeting to award the bid. So we chop off probably a week and a half of that deadline. And nothing we can do about it. And they don't even wanna look at it.
It's a law, it's a law, what you wanna do?
Hey, I'll tell you the law, you're talking about this thing with Rupert, and this is gonna be on.
Well, just before we get off the subject of the shot rock, that's gonna go along where they placed the stone already in the spring,
Yeah.
so they're putting more in.
You had to put more in there.
To
Okay.
reclaim all the stuff that
We
we
had to
lost.
reclaim our land back. Some's going around, some that was not done was around the water plant, right?
Okay,
And then up at the south end pumping station,
okay,
that wasn't done.
okay.
And then Montgomery Street.
that makes sense. Yep.
And the sad part here is you just can't back a truck in and dump it, it's gotta be put in with a backhoe.
You don't wanna smash all the new sidewalks.
Well, no,
down
we
there.
gotta.
So anyway,
do the sidewalk.
that's the story, that's the
Okay.
only thing I have to say about it,
Okay.
but,
Do-
the motion been made and seconded, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Before we adjourn, anybody see the local news tonight? The governor has freed up a ton of money to put people to work, unemployed people to work, helping rebuild the flood areas. And they're gonna get $15 an hour. What happened to prevailing wages that they're trying to stick us with?
Oh, yeah.
That is $35 an hour. I intend to call the governor tomorrow and ask him. We've been working our butts off to try to get that reduced, because we think it's stupid. Now I know it is stupid. End of conversation. I'll put a recess for 5 minutes, but I don't think Mr. Rupert's gonna be here.
Is
Did they give us any idea what the rate change might be? You said they are gonna do a rate change, but do you have any idea what it might be?
No, that's why we're going to the public hearing.
We got that letter though, it was small, I think.
It's small, it's,
Yeah,
it's less than a cent.
Yeah, I know.
Only 06, something like that.
But
Yeah,
when you-
it's small,
when you
yeah.
multiply it out, John, with the amount of money, it's a chunk of change.
Yeah, it is a
well,
chunk of
but
change.
it's not,
A penny is really, you
But
gotta
that-
figure out what a penny with you makes, it'd be
But
amazing.
that's, what it's gonna cost us, that's not what's gonna cost the people. You're not gonna see, I don't think you're gonna see an increase on the rate to the public at this point until the board makes a decision, or we find out what the hell the whole story is.
Yeah, that's the thing, you're gonna have to find something. It's final dollar and cent.
I think it's
Need a motion
relatively,
for recess.
so moved.
Can I make a I would like to thank Dennis for his compliment on behalf of the stage committee. We do work hard to bring a variety of entertainment to come, and it's been very well received this summer. And I just wanted you to know that last week I delivered the grant for 2012 to the cultural center. Keep our fingers crossed, we'll get a good chunk again, so we're working on it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we make a motion to adjourn because he's not here.
Second.
All in favor? Money after.
So, my question is, when do we want to meet to address Melissa's concern? It sounds like we have to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what if we do that?
Thank
At least three of
Yeah,
us.
nice to see you, Len, again.
Yeah, it looks like you can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I can meet as long as it's later in the afternoon. I could 3:30 I can meet, and then if you work until then.
At least 4:30, but I